My first is the last, and my last is nothing.
Okay, we can start.
I'll say the riddle once more, then we'll get started. Okay, is that okay, Daphne?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh.
My first is the last, and my last is nothing. Okay.
Well, hello, everybody. This is a mix. So Emmanuel will be saying some things and other people will be reading some favorite bits. If you have seen the preview that we did to announce this, a lot of the information is there about the books, about what Emmanuel has done. So I'll do a very, very short bio to get things running. So in his first page, Emmanuel says, Emmanuel is a prolific author of riddles, puns, limericks, and poems. British born, he is a grandfather and lives in California's Sierra Mountains with his American wife. So he's a man of mystery. We don't know anything else except his work. And there's riddles, which is 2 packs of cards. Limericks, there was an old lady from Bristol, Pundit, original puns, and then books of poems, Someone, Where the Dance Begins, Old Dog Dreaming, White Noise, Singing in the Car, and Yesterday's Flycatcher. He also writes various books, a lot of them to do with Subud, and explaining life to everybody. So there's Living in Light, which is about Harold Hitchcock. And then he also does these beautiful books, which are ekphrastic poems, which means you have poems with pictures. So there's a beautiful book that he's done with collages by Sofiah Garrard, and Uncle Bunkle's Parrot, illustrated by Raffaello Riparetti, The River, which is his fantasy novel. And then there's also What Happens on page 27, which is right brain oral and writing ideas for children aimed at teachers and parents. And also a book I think he is very proud of, which is called Loving, which is Truths About Sex Nobody Told You. Now this, what I wanted to say was, that there's an element to what Emmanuel does, which has to do with teaching. And, I'm Greek, so there's various things like teacher means somebody who holds the light in Greek. So that was the words they used for Plato. Plato's pupils would say that. In the Greek version of the Bible, again, they say teacher to Jesus. And also the word poet is creator. So in the Creed of Faith, again in Greece, it say, and God is the poet of heaven and earth. And when the first time I became aware of Emmanuel was this poem called Aura, which of his, which I will read to start this off, and so that I can be calm enough to do the rest. So, Aura. I'm watching how the wind lifts spray from somersaulting waves and spreads it like a bridal train behind them, diaphanous as mists that dim the distant hills. Another wave unfolding, sunlight fills the hazy drift, and gorgeous, sudden, unexpectedly, like light enchanted by a crystal, colors flash and flare, irradiating spray with abalone fire. Cormorant black, sleek as a seal, a surfer scans the rolling tide. A high wave lifts and tilts, and as he rides it, iridescence flares around him, rainbows hallowing his forward skim. Delight it is to see him gliding into glory, as though the elements, in all their endless play, enfold him in the ambience of grace. Sometimes, like the surfer, like the seabird floating on a thermal, we follow as we move a movement deeper than our own. Maybe at such times, we are suffused by opalescent light, glimpsed by those who chance to get the angle right. So, did you want to say something, Emmanuel? You'll have to unmute yourself. And I have here that you would be reading Extravagance, but maybe you want to read your new poem? What you prefer to do?
I'd like to read my new poem because I wrote it yesterday.
That's
But
great.
also, I recognize something in Aura, which I've been realizing lately as characteristic of my writing, is looking to the natural world and drawing more than just enjoyment from it, drawing something spiritual from it. And Aura, I think, is a kind of an example of that. But this poem, I was still playing around with it this morning, so I really, honestly, frankly, don't know if it's any good. It's called Ashes to Ashes. And the first part of it is in an imitation North Country accent. Thanks to Adrienne, who taught me how to do it. Ashes to ashes. Let cats in or out. Check early sky for promises and pigeons. Put teeth in. Smile, activating wrinkles. I love you. Repeat out loud. I love you, Emmanuel. Okay, let's get on with it. Lower back, ow. Spinny spin behind, ow. Eyes, whoop, don't fall, don't fall. Ignore that stuff, dude. Shovel ashes from big wood stove, powdery white like desiccated snowflakes. And there, yes, back in there behind the blackened log, orange embers glowing in the dark. Sometime after the formal confirmation of my death, my spirit will be floating in an infinite blue waiting room, and the corpse that looks like me will roll into a big hot oven. Later, out at sea, ashes will be tipped to drift and glimmer in the tide. I like to think that among them, embers will be glowing, sparky particles of who I once was, drawn by wind and destiny into the mouths of cheerful dolphins. That's it. Good. I'll keep it.
It was excellent, but a terrible Yorkshire accent.
I need to work on that.
I have here, so would you like to do Extravagance, Emmanuel, or shall we go to Gregory?
May I do that as well?
Conquest? Yes, yes.
May I do, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Extravagance, a relatively old poem written in Los Angeles. A trim bird sings on a cooling pole. The skyline dims. Darkness follows lavender and mauve, prickling with stars, camouflaging leaves and rooftops. Pink-white jasmine, fat white lemon blossoms reinterpret evening air, steep its gentle movements with the sweet, dense scent of pale petals. Inhale. Oh, aroma infiltrates me, soft as abalone glow, sexy incense spiking my blood like dreams of lithe limbs in silk. Oh, world, I breathe you in with all your spicy, musky body smells, your flesh breath. Who would have, could have put all this together? Look at those slender fern leaves shifting in breeze like the spines of slim green fish. That pansy, a giant purple moth, wide-winged and orange-eyed, imprinted on lobes of veiny cream. And those peaches up there, gleaming on a shadowed tree, ripening from copper green to sunset streaky oranges and yellows, white flesh packed around a stone-hard seed that's convoluted like the fossilized brain of a small extinct beast. And this bougainvillea, pink and scarlet in the patio light, like discs of crisp flame waiting to pop into flickering heat. And the aromas of jasmine and lemon blossom moving in and out of me like the breath of unseen angels. And the mockingbird chirruping and warbling beneath a trillion stars that gleam beyond their own deaths like heroes ambered in myth. Such extravagance, such perfection, and so much of it. Here I sit, aging nostrils hoovering the night's rich hints. I too am evidence of miracles.
That's
okay,
great.
Daphne.
So is Gregory ready with this?
So, compost. Someone is tearing newspapers into long, thin strips and dropping them into the big compost box. They slip and curl through space as they fall, touched by small black flies, disturbed by their arrival. Last month's headlines are down in there, beneath clumps of damp grass, and furry beans pulp from the juicer and coffee grounds. Part of the great reversion of it all, the huge, slow cycle. He feeds the compost every day. Sometimes he stands on an upside-down crate and urinates into it, sprinkling the carrot mulch, looking up at crows, flying west and back again, feeling basic and simple, like an animal. He digs finished compost into the soil, plants vegetables and flowers, kale, celery, rainbow chard, snapdragons, marigolds. He thinks of flowers as children, flowers of the nation, flowers of the world. He waters them, touches them gently, sings to them. He notices a headline as he tears a page. Another child killed by some half-crazed guy baring his teeth as he squeezes the trigger. He drops the strip into the compost. He asks the earth to enfold our darkness, make something good of it, feed it to the rainbow chard and the flowers.
Yeah, thank you. It's a lot of the poems do have this nature theme, and yeah, that's what I noticed about the where it takes you is somewhere else, which is to do with poetry. But the other things that Emmanuel has also done is various short plays that he wrote. Have you written a long play as well? Or just this? But this one that we're bringing here is a tape that Rihanna did from Portugal, because she can't be here. And she said she's been carrying the script with her all over the world, even, you know, wherever she's going. And just, you know, and I was supposed to tell you that that's how much she loves you. So I don't know if Andrew is ready to do it now.
I used to think there was something wrong with me, something missing. Like an energy that's alive and real in the lives of everyone I know, that's all around me in films, books, magazines, songs, conversations. Sometimes I meet someone at a party or, you know, just doing what I do, and I feel an attraction, a warm buzz to the pit of my stomach, and I think, I like him. But then he says something that feels not wrong exactly, it just jars me. It could be the way he looks at me, he smiles, he walks. It shows me something about him that I didn't see before. And I think, no, he's not the one. And the door in my heart that opened to him closes, and the feeling of being attracted dies. Sometimes it's hard when a guy wants me, and I say, I like you, but not in that way. They always take it as rejection. I wish they didn't. I don't know how you can want someone who doesn't want you back. It doesn't make sense to me. I think if the feeling's right between two people, then they'll always want each other at the same time. And it won't be, I want to go to bed with you, and I know you don't want to go to bed with me, but like, come on, sit here and have another glass of wine, and I don't know, it won't be like that. Sometimes I think I'm being protected, like a sort of spiritual chastity belt to him. I'm glad, really. There was a guy I met. I wanted him. And when we talked, there was this feeling we could say anything. We could say things we didn't even know we were going to say. We talked for 6 hours in a coffee bar in Tunbridge Wells. And when we went and sat on the grass on a little hill, suddenly it was there. And I knew he was feeling it too. We sat there with our eyes closed, waiting. He held my hand. It was the first time we'd touched, and I thought, if he strokes the skin on the palm of my hand and on the inside of my fingers, then I will melt like honey and trickle down the hill. No, he said. It's not the right time, is it? And I said, no. I thought it, and he heard me. He said, if God gives you a diamond and you say thank you and give it back, God will give you a bigger diamond. So, I'm not waiting for him, I'm waiting for what I felt when I was with him. I think that's why I met him. If you settle for second best, that's what you get.
So, Emmanuel, we had you singing Balloon at this point.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So,
May I do so?
of course. Yep.
Okay. Balloon. Now, I wrote this about 10 years ago, and it's got quite a vocal range, and my vocal range was better then than it is now. So please be tolerant. This is a short, very romantic waltz song. Here we go. I huffed and I puffed and I blew a balloon as big as a Boeing, as round as the moon. I love you was written all over its skin, and I fastened its throat with a silvery string. High in the heavens it floated and flew, following breezes that led it to you. Into your garden, as gentle as breath, you pulled out a needle and stabbed it to death.
Are we ready
Okay.
to do the YouTube view? Did you want to
Balloon. Is it,
say something about?
Sunsets now?
Yep.
Okay.
Are we ready?
I just while I think of it, I would like to I would like to say thank you very much to Andrew for all the work that he's been doing on behalf of us poets over the last few months. It's a biggie. I think ZoomMuse would probably have died if it hadn't been for him. So thank
Absolutely.
you, Andrew.
You're very generous, Emmanuel. It's been a pleasure. It's actually been a hoot as well as a pleasure.
Good. So sunsets, can I introduce this?
Go right ahead.
Of course. Yeah, we need to know what you're doing with your YouTube things. Yep.
I live in a really beautiful place up here in the 4,000 feet up in the Sierra Mountains. And so one of the things I've been doing is, well, going out for walks with my camera, stills and video, and photographing things. And I've also, when I've gone back to the coast, which I really miss, I videoed that as well. Sometimes I just have a 3 or 4 minute series of images of oak trees or the snow or whatever. I did a series of sunsets taken mainly from the sea, and put a poem with it. So this is on the my YouTube series, and Andrew, I hope, has been able to download it and have it ready to show us now. Is that correct, Andrew?
We're gonna
Yes, I'll assume that's yes. Sunsets.
Let's see how it goes.
Sunsets. Fluff the orange up a little, will you, darling? Yes, that's it. And let's breathe a soupçon of that rather sulky indigo into those lavender-shadowed cirrus meadows up there beyond the bowing, shall we? Oh, lovely, darling, lovely. And how about a nice long streak of that exquisitely erotic pale olive? Oh, risque, down there below that languidly melting honey-coloured caramel-flavoured vanilla-haunted latte. Absolutely divine, darling. Oh, yes, I've got it. Oh, you're going to love this one. Watch where I pop this naughty little tuft of smoky plum. Oh, yes. That is so Paul Clay. Oh, gosh, darling. This is such fun.
Is Maya here?
Oof.
Oh,
Okay.
is she there now? Great.
I'm here. I'm here.
Go for it.
Here. Well, this is by Emmanuel, and it's called Wound. We've been together as long as I can remember, my wound and I. We're close. We're very close. I'm not always sure where it is, the line defining us. Is this me speaking to you now? Or is this the wound availing itself of words I learned so long ago to use? We have embraced, we have integrated. We are each other's secrets. The wound takes care of me and I of it. Whenever I crawl back into the cave of salt and ashes, the wound is here to welcome me, restore my courage, check the neighborhood for thugs and culprits. Wound, I've learned to live with you. The pain, the areas of darkness, ever harder to ignore. One day, perhaps I will be free of you. I will be made whole. I will be whole. I will forget you. I will be ready to face the world and its wound.
Emmanuel, Maya saw that on Facebook and asked to do it. It was, you put it up recently, so and it's now your turn.
Reading.
Yeah,
I have to say it's deeply touching to hear other people read my poems. They're not, in that sense, they're not my poems. I don't want to think of them as my poems, but our poems. Like every poet, I think, can feel that way. That sometimes I feel like I'm in the room while the poem is writing itself, kind of thing. The best poems tend to be like that. So
universal, Emmanuel, universal.
This is a very gratifying experience for me. So what's
well,
next?
it's you next doing Singing in the Car.
In the car, is it? Singing in the Car, okay.
Yeah, I love
this
that.
This is from a book called Singing in the Car. And just let me, I should have been ready here for this. Singing in the Car, page 46. This is another poem from my Los Angeles phase. And again, like Balloon, it involves a certain amount of singing. Singing in the car, and I dedicate this to Adrienne Thomas because to some extent her teaching about the voice influenced me in the writing of this poem and has been with me ever since. Stop looking, Adrienne, pull yourself together. Okay, here we go, singing in the car. Cruising down 101 South, long, smooth continuum of freeway, on and off ramps, steering wheel hands, foot on the accelerator, white clouds adrift over the peninsula, fine hairs shining on my forearm. This is another nowhere, like suburban shopping centers, stacks of bottled water outside supermarkets, multi-story office blocks whose sheen is empty sky, discarded territories under freeways, places where the spirit flutters like a crimson butterfly and finds no place to land. It's time to sing. Yes, it's time to sing. Low notes, deep, rich man sounds. Here it comes, guts full of breath, and it's oh, yes, that's a good note. More, please. Sing it, sing it. Sing it from the liver. Yes, liver in there. Open up now. Sing it from the unkempt toenails. Yes, all 10 of you. Sing it from the buttocks and the bollocks. Ah, yes. Oh, there's a sound. Sing it from forgotten chakras and hollow reverberating bones and all the blood, the going out of it and the coming back. Yeah, yeah, oh. Sing it from the brain miraculous inside the skull. And yes, here's another note. And another. And another, and another. Here's a tune, a solemn pattern, ancient chorus, Aboriginal maybe, or Russian. Wish you were here, could hear it. Melody always sounding out from deep within, the onwarding of everything. So big, it sounds from all my being, all except the steady autopilot checking speed and watching out for cops. And now, yes, I am singing for the world. No, for humanity. For we who seem intent on digging an enormous grave we can all jump into. Yes, this is for all of us. A big theme singing from my deep, big bass. Oh, it feels good. And this is for everybody driving south on 101 today. The lady in the Lexus, the man in the Mercedes, the Asian family in the SUV, and for everyone who isn't. And I'm thinking as I sing, I'm wishing you were singing too. Yes, you and you and you and all of you, singing as you drive down 101 South, singing from your toenails and your unseen fluids, singing from the life that lives inside you. Everyone on all the freeways in America, singing for the world.
Fabulous. actually using harmonic singing there, Emmanuel?
What?
Were you actually using harmonics, like Tibetan harmonics, or was that just my computer generating them?
That I don't know. I mean, if it was Tibetan harmonics, then I'd like to say that yes, I was consciously using Tibetan harmonics, but
They're not limited. They're not limited to Tibetans. They're not limited to Tibetans. I just meant harmonics. You know, harmonics on the voice.
Oh, that I think that I kind of somehow start. I just do that. I just do it. I can't explain it. It's just in me, I guess. I think it's in all of us. Is that true, Adrienne? You can nod. Yes. Adrienne wrote a wonderful book called Finding Your Voice. I think is that the one, Adrienne? And it taught me a lot about singing. So I spend quite a lot of time in the car. And so rather than just turn on the radio and listen to the latest ridiculous political news, I just sing, and it is a wonderful thing to do. I recommend that everybody does it. Sing. Okay. Shut up, Emmanuel.
No, are
that's fine.
Are you shutting up?
I was thinking, looking at my program here, that I would prefer it if we finished with you reading from your book, Emmanuel, and if Lucas or Adrienne are ready to do their bit first, and then
what about
you read
Lucas?
Yes,
yeah.
I'm
Yes,
here.
please,
I'm
Lucas.
ready. I might have to put a
Great.
child to bed soon, so it's rather good. I feel very honoured to have been asked to read a poem for you, Emmanuel. Do you remember me, Emmanuel, from Lewis? I can't hear you. You're on mute. No, he doesn't remember me. Oh well, I've been in Lewis since just before you left for America, anyway. So this poem of Emmanuel's called "Thank You," and I think it seems clear who it's about. And I sort of think it's an ode to the odious one. When you told lie after lie after lie, when you bartered facts freely and cheaply, or disposed of them when they got in your way, you taught me to seek out the truth, whatever it is, wherever it hides, and value it deeply. When you scorned the desperate ones, fleeing murder or hunger or both, who travelled often with babies and kids, far from what used to be home, to knock in vain at locked gates, patrolled by ice-faced, gun-hipped guards. You taught me to pray for a heart as wide as the ocean. You taught me to love and to welcome all of my brothers and sisters here in the world. When you tapped out your tweets, replete with insult and heat, you taught me to let go of anger and to give it to God. You taught me to celebrate laughter and share it with God. You showed me that whatever we feel spreads out through the world to demolish or nourish, and that feelings, however intense they may be, are not who I am, are not me. Grateful am I to begin to be free. These are lessons you taught me. I consider them worthy and true. I trust there'll be others. Thank you, brother. Peace be with you.
Adrienne, are you able to unmute yourself and do Those Who Love Her?
I certainly am, and I'm just about to do so.
Lovely.
The new one I hadn't seen before, Emmanuel, but I really like it. Those of us who love her. She threw out everything that was in packages. She gave away all her makeup. She bought a bicycle, a Tibetan singing bowl, vegetarian Birkenstocks, and a set of Anglo-Saxon rune stories. Those of us who love her for her exuberant ways loved her even more then. I'm trying to live my life, she cried. I'm really just a simple person. She gave up smoking, coffee, fiction, swearing, black underwear, shampooing her hair, cannabis, meat, and belly dancing. She took long baths in oatmeal and urine. She became a Buddhist, joined a women's group, took courses in Spanish, aromatherapy, yoga, and 15th century choral music. Those of us who love her for her exuberant, exotic ways loved her even more. But that's not it, she cried. I'm really just I just want... Earlier this year, she cried every evening for a month. She said something awful was happening in the world. She cut off her hair. She took to sleeping on the floor. She drank potato juice. She lit blue candles. She listened to the music of Hildegard of Bingen. She met a truly spiritual man at Glastonbury, a light worker with a sacred teepee, balls like a unicorn's, got pregnant, had a miscarriage, drove to Findorn, grieved for what was lost, prayed for what was inevitable. I saw her at a party on a hill near Brighton. She was drinking herbal ecstasy and smiling more than seemed appropriate, looked sadder somehow, older. She said she knew too much about the world and not enough to do anything about it. And those of us who love her, I think we feel the same. And so we love her even more. Emmanuel.
Emmanuel has a new book out, which is an old man talking to God. It's got this magical thing about it that the moment you start reading, you're in there. And it's opening a door to who he is, but it's also really universal. And I think it would be a nice point to have him read. He chose the last 1.5 page, and then we can go naturally to question and answers, because you can also, before we go to question and answers, you could talk, Emmanuel, about your plans and what you're doing now, because you're still working, and we would like to hear all that. So over to you.
This is the book, An Old Man Talking to God. And I wrote it about 9 years ago when I was living on the coast, North Californian coast. And like other of my writing that you've been listening to, today it's a weaving in between the natural world and the inner, the outer and the inner, let's say. This is the last page and a half. You might, and this is not a have to, but it's just a suggestion, you might try closing your eyes and listening to it as I read. That's up to you entirely. I won't be checking. Everything is so quiet. An early car on a nearby road. An owl hoo-hoos softly in the eucalyptus grove a few houses away. I reach out through the cold air and open the curtain. Strong moonlight out there, silvery, enchanted. I lie in bed for a long time, watching trees in the garden moving gently in the soft wind. Arrangements and rearrangements of light and dark. The full moon is hidden by trees, as are the stars. I'm thinking of silvery ripples on the sea's surface. Yes, go! I'm driving down an empty Highway 1, round Devil's Slide a few miles south, turn right and park near Moss Beach Woods, down the steps to the beach. Here we are. Shoes and socks off. Ooh, brr, cold January sand. Look at the fat, big, silvery, golden moon up there, and a long palisade of rounded clouds above the horizon, silvery and plump like irradiated pillows. And oh my goodness, see the light on waves, the quiet waves, more lovely than I'd imagined, rippling and sinuous ridges of liquid, dark-toned, golden, molting dances of moonlight, clair de lune. I'm standing in numbingly cold wavelets, and there are ripples of reflected light stroking my body. And I'm thinking of our cat, of stroking the silvery, silky fur on his back and feeling him purr, purr, purr. An early heron, a dark, gaunt shape, flies above the waves, crying its harsh "rah." Too slowly to be discerned, the sky is turning lighter and lighter, silvery, pearly, pinkish, an early blushing. The moon is a disk of pale apricot sinking into a pinky grey cloud. Vertical multitasking. Dry my feet on my hoodie, socks and boots back on. God be here within me and all around me. I'm lying on cold sand, looking at the enormous distant sky, a dome of pale light, soft as mist and clear as rock pools, feeling the slow swing from night to day, old man on the sea's crinkly edge, holding my hands towards the sky, singing a wandery song, column of temperate happiness, feeling the planet turn and the cold dawn wind on my face. Someone once told me that we have to die over and over again. The fetus dies to become baby, dies to become toddler, dies to become child, dies to become youth, dies to become adult, dies to become elder. Is this all the dying we can do before our heart stops? No. What is it? To be dying continuously. I want the me I am now, the me I was last week and yesterday and here now, this early morning, this familiar present me. I want this me to die, to turn into a me who is closer to you, God. Always I want this, even when I don't remember that this is what I want. This familiar me. May this me die today and become a me who is closer and closer and closer to you, God. That's all. There's nothing else.
Okay. Did you still want to talk about? Wonderful. It's really nice. I don't want to do anything now, but did you want to talk a bit more about what you're doing, or do you want to open it to question and answers? What I thought you wanted to say about the things you're writing now, but we've chopped and changed everything, so whatever you want.
Very briefly, I'm working on two ABCs, an ABC of imaginary birds and an ABC of imaginary animals. So there's 26 of each. And I've been working on this for a while. And then I left it, and now I've come back to it. And my idea is, and this is somewhat unorthodox, is to seek illustrations from a lot of different people so that the bird and the animal alphabets have illustrations from expert professional artist kind of people and kids and everything in between. So I have some wonderful drawings of imaginary animals from a young lady in Canterbury, Kent called, oh my God, what's her name? Serafina. She's the granddaughter of, oh my God, what's her name? Sofiah Garrard. She sent me a whole bunch of, I sent her the poems, and she sent me some, I mean, 13, 14-year-old, they're just brilliant. And I have a wonderful picture of a bird from my 7-year-old granddaughter, Jayla. And then I have pictures by Amina Herman and pictures by Hannah Kusterer and a lady whom Reynold introduced me to, a lady called Janie, is it, Reynold? Yes. So that's what I'm currently working on. And it's, like I said, it's an unorthodox idea or concept, but one of the ideas behind it is that there will be poems with no illustrations, and the reader is encouraged to provide their own illustrations. There will also be illustrations with no poems, and the reader will be encouraged to write his or her own poem. So it's a book that requests or seeks or encourages active involvement on the part of the reader. That's what I'm working on currently.
Nice. So
if anybody here wants to send me a picture of an Imagine, or they want to be involved in this, just email me and I'll send them the 2 alphabets and they can do some pictures or one picture. So just one picture. Okay, all right, that's all. That's all right now. Rianti, yes, I would like something from you. Bonjour, bonjour Rianti. Ça va?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I want to point out 2 things. The first thing I want to point out is that all of us who knew the answer to your riddle were silent because we didn't want to spoil it for anybody else. So I want to let you know that. Secondly,
okay.
Time, as we know, is malleable and flexible. And this has been the fastest hour I've ever had in my life. Thank you very much.
That's nice.
Okay.
So you guys leaving?
So anybody who solves the riddle?
Oh.
My first is the last and my last is nothing.
Well, how about it, Robin? Did you solve
Think
it, or would that be
alphabetically.
cheating? You have to unmute yourself.
Somebody got it.
Yes, indeed.
I only publish them, I don't solve them.
I don't usually do riddles at all, but I thought it was 0.
0
Oh.
is correct answer. 0. My first is the last, and my last is nothing. Z-O or Z-O. That's it.
My body's
So I think we
Oh.
should stop there, Daphne. Don't like
Okay,
to go on too long.
No, this was
you know.
very rich, and we're fine. So we say thank you to everybody.
Let's say something.
Adrienne,
Yeah,
I want you to tell Rihanna that her reading of The Diamond was absolutely wonderful.
I will. I was going to do that anyway. It really was. But the only thing I want to say finally is listening to that last page and a half that you just read. Something amazing happened listening to your voice reading it, and I think you really should make a recording of you reading it.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Yes.
All of the dimension that comes up.
Yeah.
Better than just it on the page. So
I
I
will
want
do
to
that.
say,
I will do that.
Yeah, I would second that, because there's something about the voices that has this effect, you know, and the vibration. And okay. We have our idea of how it should be read, but it was really nice. So, all right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Emmanuel and Andrew. This was fantastic.
Thank you, Daphne. Thank you.
Bye. You're welcome. It was fun. Bye.
Thanks so much,
Bye,
everyone.
Bye. We know where to find you,
Thanks,
Emmanuel, so
Emmanuel.
it's okay. You can't escape. All right. Bye.